Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing, coming to you with a video for some ephemera for my Paris Rose journal. I am working on a couple of projects now. I just got it in my mind that I wanted to do a journal for my granddaughter's birthday, which is February the 13th. So I have about 2 weeks to get her journal done. So I'm going to be doing a strawberry themed journal for her. I'm super excited. So I'm going to be probably doing most of that off camera. If I come up with some new technique that I want to create some ephemera with, I'll probably bring that kit in to the channel. But otherwise, we're going to continue to focus on the Paris Rose journal, as well as any other Mixed Media 101s or any other kinds of specialty kinds of projects. So first, let me tell you where I saw this. So I saw this over done by Eve or Edith over at Scrapbooking with me, excuse me. Such a sweetheart over there. Oh my goodness. I have been following her ever since I started this journey, and so she's incredibly talented and incredibly kind, and she does this stuff just like on the fly. She doesn't make a prototype first, she just does it, which I think is absolutely amazing. So what she did is she created this, and then she thought this up herself. So she basically took an envelope like this, and she put a tag on the flap. So this tag is actually on the flap. And then she made a thumb notch here to make this into a pocket. And then she covered the whole, so we covered this part, the pocket part. You could cover it with all the same paper, totally up to you. I wanted a different color paper there. And then she covered the rest of it, and then we just cut around it, which is the shortcut I'm going to do. And then we're going to glue it to the page, so we didn't need to put anything on this side. And I may embellish this on the front. This is just my prototype, just because I wanted to have something to show you before we get going. All credit goes to Eve. Amazing, amazing idea. Like, she just thinks these things up in her sleep. It's amazing. That's happened to me a couple of times, but not very often. So anyway, I will be sure to link her channel down in the description box so you guys can check her out. I'm sure many of you probably know her. She's renowned in the junk journal and journal making world. So that's what we're going to be making. So we're going to be making 3. I'm going to keep this probably as one of them for my prototype, because I'm going to also be starting a reference journal, and I want to be able to take one of everything that I make and put it in the reference journal. So we've got 3 different ones to do for the Paris Rose journal. So we've got this one, and then this one, and this one. So I think I want to start with this one for some reason. I'm not sure why. So let me just move the other stuff out of the way. And I've got my small trimmer here just so that I can do some cutting. I also use my scoreboard, and I'll explain why here in a second. I'm just going to wheel my cart over here. I forgot to get it closer to me. It has all my tools in it. So what we're going to do here is, this is actually going to be our tag. So when it's on here, it's going to go like this. So it's going to flip open like that. And then we'll cut a tag shape when we get to that point. I'm not making all of them a tag shape. Some of them are just going to be a tall card. Doesn't matter. It does not have to be a tag. And so I just got these small envelopes. Let me see if I can get you some measurements on them. I got these from Hobby Lobby, which is where I get most of them. This is 4 inches by 6 and a little over 6 1/4. And I think that's actually the size that Eve used in her example. But this, and I don't really prefer white envelopes, but I've got a ton of them, so I'm going to start using them, especially in projects where it's easy to hide that white. And so again, this is going to be our tag piece. This is going to be our journal card that's going to go in the pocket. And I'll probably add another journal card. I'm not sure why I don't have 2 pieces. Usually I do. And then one of the things I realized when I did this one was that my paper was really thick. And so I had a hard time with this fold, because once we get the paper on, we need to score that and fold it. And you can see it doesn't want to lay down. So I'm probably either going to put an eyelet on it or put a little Velcro dot under there so it'll stay closed. But I'm going to hopefully circumvent that by using some 20-pound paper. So I just printed this piece on 20-pound paper. This would be a fantastic crash or trash, or just you know, whatever, if you're doing your own using scrap busters or using your scraps. It would be great because you could marry up papers that look like they could go together and smaller pieces, and use probably a lot of your scraps. I didn't do that this time just because I'm on a mission with this journal. So let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to set that aside. And I will be sure that this gets linked. This is not in the Paris Rose video. It's not in the other videos as far as in the supply list. So I will add this onto the supply list. This, I believe, is from Vintage by Me. I love her stuff, but I just love those roses. They're beautiful. And of course the Eiffel Tower. So we are going to start by going ahead and cutting our tag shape. Actually, I think I want to... Do I want to glue it on first? I'm almost feeling like I want to glue it on first and then cut. Let's see what that would be. Yeah, I could easily do that. So let's do that, because I don't know how much I want to take off the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my white glue. Actually, let me ink around this really quick, just at least the sides that are going to be attached. So let me do that really quick. This is on a heavier paper. I believe that this is a... I thought it was a 65-pound paper, but it's different than the 65-pound that I use. So I think something was wrong in the markings of that paper. But it is a heavier stock than the 20-pound paper that I'm using to cover the envelope. So again, we're going to put this on here. So I'm just going to turn this over, and I'm going to line up the bottom with the bottom of the envelope, and I'm going to apply my glue to this. And we can ink the envelope when we're done here. So I'm just going to get off my crusty glue here. And again, this is for the Paris Rose journal. I mentioned in another video that I might be selling this journal. I've never sold a journal. I give everything away. So I'm struggling with that idea. Because I don't need to sell my journals. I don't need to do that. I do it for the joy of it. But I also think that as an artist, in several realms of artistry, I struggle with selling my work. I just do. So I think it would be a good practice for me to do that. So I'm just making sure that this is right side up in terms of the direction. I'm going to lay it back down, and I'm going to line it up there. And then I'm going to line it up with the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then I'm going to turn it over quickly and see if I look really well lined up. And I'm going to close it just to make sure I don't have any overhang. I don't. It looks fantastic. So I'm going to open that back up, give that a good press, like so. And then we're going to cut our tag shapes, our angles. So I think, I kind of wish I had done that differently. Grab my scissors. I'm going to grab my little ones because I've got a little area here. So I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to make these kind of small. So I'm just going to cut that corner, and I'm going to turn that piece over. You know that little trick. You guys have probably seen it 100 times. Flip it over and cut the other side. There we go. So anyway, I'm going to be hopping around working on my granddaughter's strawberry journal. Hopefully she doesn't watch this video. I don't think they do regularly. They have before, but they're living their lives. They're young and having fun. So that is perfect, and it's a great weight. My other one, I wouldn't want to use a lighter paper for the tag part because this would be really flimsy. Even though it will be backed with another piece of paper, which would probably be all right. But I'm going to go with this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this little bit here off. So I'm just going to cut at an angle here and just take that little notch off because we don't need it. So I'm going to cut both edges, and then we'll give them a snip. There we go. Okay. I hope you guys are doing well. I am doing well. For those of you who've been following my health issues, I am feeling fantastic. I'm fighting the most current cold or whatever is going around the school. I work in an elementary school, so that's just kind of also par for the course. And I just found out all three of my grandkids in one family have strep throat, and strep is going through our school. So fingers crossed I don't get it. I don't have my tonsils, so I know that you can still get it, but it's not as bad. So I'm hoping that I don't get it. But don't we all hope that we don't get something bad? I'm going to trim that one a little bit more, maybe, if I can get these in there. Not that it doesn't super matter, but that's not good grammar. Super matter. Okay, it's a work day. I mentioned before that I've got plans for the weekend, so there's going to be very little crafting in my world. So what I did forget is something for this. Doggone it. Let me see if I've got something in my drawer here that would work. Oh, look at this. How about that? This I used in something else. So this would be perfect. It's actually from the same kit. It is the thicker paper though. So I'm just digging in my little drawer that it doesn't house all of my scraps, but the most recent things that I've used, I've got in here just so that until I sort them where they need to go. So I'm just looking really quick to see if anything would work. Most of this is from that envelope journal that I just finished, so that color scheme won't really work. We're just going to go with this. Even though it is the thicker paper, it will fit perfectly here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on, and then I'm going to cut around it once it's glued. The thing I did wrong on this one is I want to get the paper, I want to get this other piece of paper that's going to cover this area to go into this line, and I didn't do that. So what I did is I just cut these edges open, which is not a problem, slid my paper in, and then glued them back up, which worked fine too. But I'm going to try to figure out a way to do that without doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this on as I mentioned, and then we will cut around it. Okay, there we go. So we're a little bit short on this end, but I'm not going to worry about it. We'll ink that up. I didn't look at that carefully, but that's a little more than I would want showing, but the ink will cover that up. So let's go ahead and trim around this. I'll grab my bigger scissors. And I'm trying to not cut the envelope open. So as I mentioned before, you kind of know, because you can feel that you're cutting into thicker paper than just the one layer. And if you do cut it open by chance, not a big deal. You just glue it shut. I think I might have cut it open. We'll see. We'll see. It's a work day, so I just got home, so not at my best. But that is all right. So let's see if we did cut it open. Oh, no, we didn't. Oh, nope, we didn't. Cool. I might want to stick a little bit more glue in there, though. I see quite a gap. Not great with the glue. In the future, I might try to sew these, but for this demonstration, I'm not going to, because one could sew around this part to make it look like this is separate from this. But I'm not going to do that today, just again for time's sake. And so then we're going to cover the rest with this paper, which is that thinner paper. So I'm going to cut, well, the thing is I can't get that in there and then cut around this. So that's the problem, really, in theory. Oh, and that's crooked. Okay. I'm going to do what I did on the other one, and I'm just going to go ahead and it's actually cut there. Oh, it's already open there. Interesting. That's all right. So we're just gonna, I'm gonna put this in and, or let me cut this, sorry, let me cut this open a little bit. so we can just slide this paper in easily. It's not a big deal, no loss at all, but that gives me this landscape to kind of slide that in and get that on there. So let me go ahead and get some glue down here. Yeah, and we can cut a thumb notch there if we want here in a second. I do want to get in there a little bit because the paper is going to go in there. So when I did this before, I just made sure I got my ruler in there to make sure that that pocket was, or that envelope was still open. So there we go. So I'm just going to pick that up again so I can get my paper in there. Hopefully not stick everything together. And I'm going to just slide that in there, and I'm going to go like that and just kind of make sure that this is semi-even. And I can tell that by how straight both of these kind of margins are, so that should work just fine. Before I start cutting around, I'm going to go ahead and stick my ruler in here and make sure that nothing is being constricted there. And then we'll come back and cut, or not cut, we'll glue those little pieces down that we cut open. So we're going to turn this over and we're going to cut around this whole thing. So it's often a good idea to let it dry, but I'm going to just proceed on. We might let it dry just a little bit before we do the scoring, because that's a little bit trickier, but we'll still have to ink this, so maybe we'll do that in the interim. And I'm just cutting across to that envelope there, like so. And then we're going to cut up to the tag. Hopefully this is making enough sense for you guys. And we're going to cut up to that corner, or down to that corner rather. I got a bit of that tag in there that time, but that's all right. And then we're going to cut. I like to go this direction though. I don't know about you, but I do have a preferred side that I like to cut on. So we're just going to try to squeeze that in there like that. Cut a little bit of the tag, but that's all right. It's just a sliver. There we go. I'm apparently a little tag happy. So I'm just going to go ahead and just smooth that out. That turned out really pretty. Yeah. Beautiful. So I don't even know if I want a thumb notch there. I don't think I'm going to put a thumb notch. I should have inked this though. Thankfully that is dark already. So let's go ahead and ink this really quick. I just re-inked my vintage photo archival ink, so it's nice and juicy. I did that last night before I went to bed because I knew I was going to go on a crafting frenzy with the journals that I'm working on. And also dedicating some time this week to get to my Sunday's Art of Truth. I didn't do one last week because I'd been sick and I was fried. And when I do Sunday's Art of Truth, it's a lot harder. It takes a lot more energy. And it takes an engagement of my heart in order to do that, because I do a blog writing that's associated with the art project. So I'm just going to stick that back in there. I feel like I've got something bound there. So what's being bound? There we go. I'm going to open that up a little bit and all the way to there. Perfect. Okay, so this is going to be easier. Actually, I think I can do it without scoring it this time, because I'm just working with that thin envelope and the 20-pound paper. So I'm going to use my bone folder and kind of just or my ruler would probably be better, and just get that ruler in there just to help me bend that. I'm just going to press it from the other side. Sorry for the angle. Like so. We're making 3 of these for the Paris Rose journal because it's a 3 signature journal. So we're going to just press that down. Hopefully we won't regret that. And then I'm going to use my bone folder and just give that a good... This is laying a lot better with the 20-pound paper. Yeah, so I think I'm not going to focus on the ephemera. As in my last project, I'll add some stuff and I'll make sure that that is visible in the photos at the end of the video. So the only thing I don't like is that this didn't really go with this paper, but I think it's really quite beautiful to look inside of it. What did she do with this part? You know, because a person could actually make a pocket here too. I feel like I want a pocket there. But I'll do that. If I decide to do that, I'll do that off camera again, and I'll let you see that in the photo. So I'm just going to ink that edge. And so when I was talking about sewing, it would be really cool to sew around this to make it look like it's completely separate. I can see that this line is not straight with this line, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue in here. Oh, got some white. Don't like that white. And you wouldn't actually have to glue that up. I'm going to go ahead and leave it be for now, but I think these would be really gorgeous with a pocket. So I'm going to think about that. So I'm going to just press that down again. It's still popping up a little bit and probably will pop up more once it gets ephemera in. So this one I might also put a little glue dot there, or you could also put an eyelet and wrap a little bit of seam binding or silk around it. I'm not sure what I want to do with that, but that is, what are we calling this? Envelope tag flippy thing. I don't know. So we're going to set that aside and we're going to go on to the next one. I'm just going to move these scraps out of my way. And the second one we have is actually this one. So again, I'm using, in the Paris Rose journal, I'm also using a kit from Dreams Etc. I believe. Is it Dreams Etc.? I believe, called Paris Rose. And so this is some of the ephemera from the Paris Rose journal. This is not. This is from one of the other kits that I'm using. Isn't she absolutely gorgeous? But I love the yellows. And I had this paper from a kit that I'm using that is also linked in the supply list that I thought would be perfect with this. So let's go ahead. And this envelope is smaller. I thought it would be fun to try a smaller one. So let me give you the dimensions on this one. I work in inches, you guys. I don't even understand centimeters. So just under 5 1/4 by just under 3 1/4. So I don't have my magic smart ruler out, so otherwise I'd give you the exact measurement, but that's okay. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to open that baby up, and this is our tag. And so I'm going to ink her up really quick before we get going. And I think the third one I'm just going to leave as kind of a journal card flip out instead of the tag. But I definitely need to start keeping one of these that I do for my reference journal because my memory is not great. I keep a book that has idea lists in it of things I've created, ideas that I've gotten from other people that I want to try, but I don't see what they looked like when I've tried it. So I have to go back to all my photos to see that. So this is going to go on here like that. And so she's a little bit shorter. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put glue on this flap. So I'm just going to do that. I hope you guys can see that okay. White on white is kind of tricky, but we're just going to go ahead and put this on. And you can always come back and like reinforce any glue bits that didn't get quite covered. Not a big deal at all. And so we're going to go ahead and, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Lay this down flat, so print side down, and I automatically print on both sides, guys, so that's why there's coffee dyed paper there on the back, even though it's going to be covered over. So I'm lining up again the bottom of the tag with the bottom of the envelope, And I'm just going to go ahead and fold that flap back down. Give it a slight press, turn it over, make sure that it looks good by kind of closing that and seeing that I don't have any hangover. So I'm moving that over a little bit because it is hanging over just a slight bit. There we go. And I'm just going to give that a good press. Yeah. Oh, she's so pretty. Gorgeous girl. Wow. Okay, so this one, I also didn't pull anything for this. Is that weird or what? I am so surprised by this. So let me see. I have this paper. This is from that kit that I just used. I took a page from the digital and I used it and I printed on music paper, but I've got my kits right behind me. So give me just a quick second to grab that if you'll indulge me, because I do have a paper to use. So let me just flip through this really fast. My apologies. Actually, nope, I don't want to use that. All right, I know you guys can't see what I'm talking about, but I think I've got another one of these printed on different paper. Oh, I feel bad for having to do this with you guys just waiting. I'll be right back, okay? Okay, I think we're going to do something a little bit different. So I just ran across this digital printed on a transparency. And I think I want to use the transparency. But what that means is I cannot punch it because transparency will not punch. You can only cut it. And it's from a random kit. So, oh, there's got a line through it though. Oh, that's not going to work. It's got a line through it. Darn it. It's got a fold line right here where I tried to fold it. And transparency does not fold, just so you know. But you know what? I'm going to go with it because I can always put a piece of lace or something there. I don't want to waste that. But what I do want to do is I'm going to grab a piece of parchment paper and slide it in here. I can get a piece. I have to cut one apart here. And then I can get into here maybe and ink that up, that edge, because we're actually putting this on white, which is kind of strange. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, and then we're going to try to ink that edge up. This is kind of an easier way to do that. You can still pick it up and try to get in there, but then I don't. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I could just do this because nothing's going to show if I miss it. Oh, it's really dark. Really dark, but that's okay. In fact, maybe we'll just kind of regretting this right now. Kind of regretting this. Let's just ink around. See what happens. I'm going to kind of go thick around the edges because I think it'll be a good complement. You know what? And if I don't like this one, I'll keep this one for my prototype. I just want to use this transparency because I saw it. So, but I do, oh, that's going to be cut off. So let's go ahead and do that first. Forgot that very important step. So we're going to cut this little bit off. It's hard to get in there though, to be honest. I'm just going to go from this angle and see if that helps. And then just trim that bit off because that'll give us a straight edge to ink, which will make my life easier. Like so. Whoa, it's not exactly right. To have the patience of Job to do this sometimes. So I think I can go this way now because it's my angle. It's my comfortable angle. There we go. And then we're just going to trim that baby off, like so. And now see how we've got a straighter edge to ink. And so I'm going to try to hold that like that and see if we can get some ink all the way across here consistently. Because I was not very consistent. And then I'm going to look at that transparency and see if it's going to look weird. So let's try it again. So what I would do is put it here. I think it's actually quite beautiful. We're going to go with it. So, but I can't, I'm going to have to cut it to size because the part I don't want is over on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and just line it up. I'm going to cut this down and I'll be right back with you. Okay, that hopefully is going to work. Oh, our minds are crazy sometimes, aren't they? Oh, that's perfect. And I can actually probably just wipe that ink right off because it's a transparency. So beautiful. So we're going to glue that on. And I believe that I was successful when I use a transparency. I was successful with just using, I think I used my Fabri-Tac actually. I can't quite remember. Or maybe we did use the white glue. Let's try the Fabri-Tac. Again, this can be my prototype if I end up hating it. So I'm just going to put some along here on the envelope itself, if I can get this to come out. Okay, we're really plugged up. Fabri-Tac, what's going on? It's not happy. It is completely plugged. I think it was left upside down without being protected. Let's see if that glue bit will come off. Oh, there we go. It had a little bit of a covering over there. So let's try this. I cannot remember what worked before. My Fabri-Tac is not coming out. Okay. Plan B. Plan B is the white glue. I think either one of them left me with some marks because it's a transparency. So I'm just dabbing that off on my paper towel to make sure it's going to actually do something here. And I'm hoping because we've got ink along that edge that might help just to kind of disguise that a little bit. I need to kind of work fast or that glue will dry. Try to keep it as close to the edge as I can. I love using transparencies, guys. If you haven't done it, I would encourage you to do it. I had purchased some, but I also got some from the school that they were just throwing it away. So I've got some that, and I really like working with it, but you can't tear it. So I was like, oh, these would be so cool in scraps. No, not in scraps, in clusters, but you can't cut it. I mean, you can't tear it. So you can't give it like a rough, raggedy tear. Okay, so let's get a paper towel. We're going to kind of press that down. I didn't put it on the other side, did I? Doggone it. I'm not even seeing any effect there at all. I think it will be okay if we don't glue it there because this is going to go right here. Actually, nope, we're going to have to put some glue because it's already lifting up here. So, towards the top. Goodness gracious, Cara-Renee. I might not have had quite enough. We'll see how this goes. I know it holds because I've used it before, so I know it works. I just have to figure out the magic combination here. So that we're going to just press that down. And then, so what it did here, what you're seeing here, this darker bit is actually the glue. So that is going to be epic. So now that is firmed up, it's secure. So that was a good choice. I didn't really, I'm hoping that it's going to go with this. Anything should go with this, right? But I'm trying to think about how much we need because I don't really want all this yellow here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it, I'm going to cut off, cut it about right here because that's about how much we want to have it go under. And I'm just going to trim that really fast. And again, this is just a scrap, so it's a great way to use those. Oh, where did my pencil mark go? That happens to me all the time. Oh, there it is. If I don't keep my eye on it completely, it's like, no, I can't find it. So that should be plenty big to cover that. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can cut that open again, and we can always just glue it shut, so it's not a big deal. This to me is easier than trying to figure out a way to wedge that in there. There we go. So now we'll be able to slide this paper in there just like we did before, and oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I don't like that I'm missing part of the Eiffel Tower here, but that is okay. And I'm going to kind of just straighten that out a little bit because I can see it's crooked. So I'm going to get some glue in here. I'm going to use my white glue. I'm going to go over in this area first and then go under that little pocket here last. I hope I'm making sense. I don't feel like I am. My next 2 nights are dedicated to working on my Sunday's Art of Truth. I can give you a sneak peek idea of what it is. I'm going to be writing about this idea of the dog-eared pages of our lives. So have you ever heard that phrase, you know, like when you're reading a book and what pages do you dog-ear? You dog-ear the most meaningful things. Now, they're not always the happiest things, but they are the things that impacted you. So that's what I'm going to be writing about, is the dog-eared days of our lives. Sounds like a soap opera. Oh, I love that. So again, this is a great way to use scraps because these are not from the same kit. This is from something completely random. I don't even know if I could, I mean, I know I could find it if I searched for it. I purchased it, but it's a great way to use scraps. So we're going to go ahead and just trim this mama up. That is really beautiful. I love it. So let's go ahead and ink her up, and then we'll do the fold. So you can see I've got that little bit of border, but ink is magical because you cannot even tell once you ink it up. It is completely unnoticeable. It's beautiful, beautiful thing. So anyway, Sunday's Art of Truth. I hope that you'll check it out. I try to do one. My goal in 2023 is to do a Sunday's Art of Truth every Sunday, but I'm also not holding that as a hard and fast rule because the idea of 2023 is to do things that are inspirational to me and not kind of put myself in a box of expectations. So I'm working really hard at that. So we've got a funny edge here. I'm not sure. We'll have to fix that when we fold this over. So we're going to fold our tag over. And I'm going to make sure that that's nice and lined up. Nice and lined up like so. That looks pretty good. Okay. And then we've got to deal with this funny little thing here. I'm not sure what that is. There we go. Okay. So that is that. And she's all inked up and she's folded. And we're going to let that dry, but that's what she's going to look like. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, one more. And I probably will speed through some of this just to keep the video a little bit more, a little bit shorter. So I will be right back. I just looked at the clock and realized what time it was, and that my husband's going to be walking in the door, and I don't want him to come in the room when I'm filming. So this is the last one, and again, I will probably speed through some of this just for time's sake. This one we're going to do as a journal card. So I cut this. This is a page from the kit, the primary kit that I'm using, and again, that's all linked in the supply list. So. get a little bit more of an edge here than I wanted, but I realized that in order to make this work, I actually need to square off this bottom because that's going to look really weird. So I'm going to leave the top rounded, and I'm just going to trim this off a little bit. I didn't think about that. I mean, I suppose I could leave it, but I don't want to. Why are my scissors not cutting? You got glue stuck to you? Yep. There we go. That's better. That's better. But we'll just ink all that up. You won't even be able to tell that it's like that. So we will continue on. And again, I didn't pick a piece. I did not pick a piece for this. So I think what we'll do is we'll use the same paper and we'll just do it in 2 pieces, so I don't have to hunt for something else. That is just pure silliness. So here we go. And what I'm doing here is exactly what Eve did. She was using scraps, and she used one whole piece to cover that area. She just did it in 2 pieces, but it was the same paper. So I feel like I need to get rid of that white because it's bothering me. So I'm just going to ink that up just so I can be happy. There we go. Can't even tell there's white there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and again we're going to cut this piece to fit here. So let's go ahead and just set this on here, and then we'll glue it and trim around it afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my glue. Okay, we're just going to set this paper on here. I already kind of set it in the ink or in the glue, so I'm going to go ahead and just put it here. I'm going to go a little bit above and below it, but I'm going to try to line it up with that edge really well, like so. I know this paper is from my Porch Prints. It's there from her Shabby Green collection. So we're going to go ahead and trim this off. I need to clean my scissors. They're seriously sticking. So I hope you can see there's a variety of ways that you can make this work for you. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it, but it's just an idea, something new to add to your arsenal. But that's beautiful. So we will ink around those edges in a moment, but you can see that that paper is really complementary to that. So now we're going to cover this part. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to get into this. Oh, it's already open on that side. Weird. Okay. That's unexpected. Maybe I cut it accidentally. I'm going to trim this, cut this open. There we go. So we're going to do the same, but this time I want this to go out to the outside. So I am going to try to trim this down because I like this edge being what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark here and cut that at that point so I can trim around. Nope, that's not going to work. Yeah, that will work. A little discombobulated, sorry guys. Okay. There we go. And that's going to go there. Hopefully that will go in there. I don't know if I did it enough. So we're going to go ahead and apply glue here. major glue issues, you guys. I don't know if it's warm in here or what, but none of my glue wants to work. I'm getting out the heavy stuff here. I got a little bit too much up in the envelope, so I'm going to be watching that very carefully. I do need to reapply it though, because I'm afraid that that's already dried. So there we go. We're going to slide this in and hopefully retain as much of this as possible. So I'm going to just, that kind of brownish edge I really love. So I'm going to set that in there, and I'm going to press that down, and I'm going to just put my finger in here so that I can control that other glue. I'm just going to wipe in there really quick, and I'll probably put a piece of parchment in there. Smooth the rest of that down, and then, oh, doggone it, we did it again. Got too much over here. Let me see if I can pull it. Nope. It's art glitter glue for you. I thought this was still part of the paper, but it's not. But we will work with it. It is okay. You could also create this as a floating kind of pocket piece of ephemera if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. These are all going to get glued down. So I'm going to go like that. I hope I can go around those corners. The littler scissors here. My ink is really juicy, but you can almost, it almost doesn't look like this was a mistake, does it? Because of the way this paper is designed. So that's pretty epic. We also need to get some ink in here. Didn't do that. It's all right. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, and again I will get some ephemera ready for these, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.